Welcome back everyone. Guess what? The Google Pixel 6 Pro just came out and Google sent that out to me, thank goodness. So let's go and compare it against the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra and see which specific Android phone you should go and pick up. Now the S21 Ultra in the brand new market is more expensive than the Pixel 6 Pro. However, on Amazon, they are roughly around the same price. The S21 Ultra is around $800, the Pixel 6 Pro brand new is $899. So I'll leave both of these linked down in the description below. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the same time. Now on the front, we do have a little bit of a different setup. So with the Galaxy S21 Ultra, we have a 6.8-inch dynamic AMOLED display and it's a 1440p panel. Now this panel is a hole punch display, 120Hz, and it's probably the best panel out right now. It's beautiful, curved glass, curved display, and it's easily one of the best looking phones of all time in my opinion. And with the Google Pixel 6 Pro, it is almost the same thing. You know, it's a 6.71-inch LTPO AMOLED display, it's also 1440p, and it's also 120Hz. Now when I look at an S21 Ultra display and I look at the Pixel 6 Pro display, to be honest, I don't think you're going to notice a crazy big difference right out the gate, but definitely I would say the S21 Ultra is the better panel. But here's the thing, I think the Pixel 6 Pro coming from a Pixel 5 is a way bigger difference than an S21 Ultra, you know, from an S20 Ultra, because the S21 Ultra and the S20 Ultra had very beautiful displays. So I'll probably tell you the S21 Ultra has a better panel, but the Pixel 6 Pro is right behind it, and for it being a cheaper brand new phone, it's actually not a bad value in my opinion. The Pixel 6 Pro display is actually pretty good. Now they both have USB Type-C ports on the bottom. Neither of them have microSD card slots anymore, which is kind of a bummer, but both have IP certification, which is really cool. And on the back, we have a little bit of a different setup here as well. So with the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra, we have a frosted glass back, where the Pixel 6 Pro has that standard glass back. So what does this mean? Well, essentially, the S21 Ultra, in my opinion, has a more premium and more modern back to it. So if you're planning on not putting a case on your device, the S21 Ultra is going to feel like a much more flagship type of device than the Pixel 6 Pro. If anyone has ever used an iPhone 12 Pro, 11 Pro, iPhone 13 Pro, the back that is on those phones is the same that's on the back of the S21 Ultra. The Pixel 6 Pro is more in line with something like a Galaxy S20 or an S10 or an iPhone 11. Those types of devices, and it doesn't feel cheap. I'm glad it's glass on the back, but again, compared to the S21 Ultra, that is a much more premium feeling phone than the Pixel 6 Pro. So I think overall when it comes down to it, at least on the outside, the S21 Ultra definitely wins here, but it doesn't mean it's perfect like I mentioned. Now let's go and hit on the cameras. We might as well do it since we're on the back of both of them. With the S21 Ultra, we have a quadruple camera setup. So we have a 108 megapixel wide angle lens, a 10 megapixel periscope telephoto lens, another 10 megapixel telephoto lens, and then a 12 megapixel ultra wide sensor. With the Pixel 6 Pro, we have a 50 megapixel wide angle lens, a 48 megapixel telephoto lens, and then a 12 megapixel ultra wide sensor. So this is what I'll tell you about both of these cameras. They both kind of have the same type of issues if I'm being completely honest. Now I do think the Pixel 6 Pro's camera is extremely good. We have 4K at 60 on the back of both of them, but the S21 Ultra does have the ability of going to 8K video. And another big thing is the front camera, 11.1 megapixel ultra wide sensor on the Pixel 6 Pro versus the 40 megapixel wide angle lens on the S21 Ultra. Now I really do like that ultra wide sensor on the Pixel 6 Pro, but the 6 Pro can only do 4K at 30 on the front, where the S21 Ultra can do 4K at 60. So that's another minor difference. I didn't think it was a crazy big deal, but it was kind of an annoyance if I'm being honest. But the thing with these camera modules is that with the S21 Ultra, that phone has way more features up its sleeves when it comes down to that camera UI. You have so many more features on that camera than with the Pixel 6 Pro. So even if the quality was the same, you are getting more features built into that S21 Ultra than on the Pixel 6 Pro. But what I can tell you about the Pixel 6 Pro is that it's a very smooth and responsive, camera UI for an Android device. Now compared to iOS, it's nothing even compared to it. To be honest, neither of these phones compare to iOS camera UI and the smoothness and fluidity of it. But these phones have way more camera features than those ones on iPhones. But the 6 Pro is a little bit smoother than the, Galaxy S21 Ultra. But the other thing to keep in mind is that with that Google Tensor chip, Google has a lot of capability to improve their photos in the future since they make that chip and they make the software. So it allows us to have a lot more enhanced photo and video quality even without having a great module. Like, I think the module is actually pretty decent, and I do think the camera is actually pretty good, but I do think the Galaxy S21 Ultra is the better camera setup here. Not only are you getting that additional lens, but having that 8K capability and that 4K 60 on the front just adds a little bit more flavor to that camera setup. And I do think, at some point the Pixels are going to have 8K, and by that time Samsung has already perfected 8K and they may be going to 8K at 60 or something, I don't know. But I think when it comes down to the cameras of both of these, the Galaxy S21 Ultra is the better camera overall, but I think the Pixel 6 Pro has the highest chance of improving their camera quality and even beating the S21 Ultra, probably even like a couple months or even a year from now. So in terms of that covers it up there. Now finally we can start talking about some areas where the Pixel 6 Pro is, shining at like crazy, and this is with the software. With the Galaxy S21 Ultra, we're on Android 11 right now. It's going to be getting Android 12 and Android 13, maybe even Android 14 if, Samsung changes up their software lifecycle once more. But with the Pixel 6 Pro, Google just said they're going to go ahead and improve the software lifecycle, giving 5 years of security updates. Maybe it's 4 years of OS updates or something. But even if they're the same, the software on a stock Android phone is so much better than One UI. I was never a fan of One UI, I'm still not. And although they've kind of improved it, I think with One UI 3, it's still not good enough. And when you have such great hardware with the S21 Ultra and you're just succumb to such weird software, I'm not a fan of it, to be completely honest. Now with the Pixel 6 Pro, this is the best software you can get on any Android phone. It used to be Oxygen OS. That is not the case anymore. With stock Android, it is now the top tier. It is the best software you can get. And now that the hardware on a Pixel is, very premium feeling, you can now get premium feeling hardware and premium feeling software without having to, pay a ton of money or custom ROM your phone anymore. And that's something that we haven't seen in many years, I think. Since like the Nexus 6P, that was probably the last time I felt like a Pixel or stock Android phone was super premium. And now we have it on the Pixel 6 Pro. So software-wise, the Pixel 6 Pro is going to dominate the Galaxy S21 Ultra. But a very interesting thing kind of relates to the performance side is actually with the chipsets inside. So with the S21 Ultra, it has that Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 chipset with 12 gigs of RAM on the 2 or 3 base models, and it goes up to 16 gigs of RAM if you want to. With the Pixel 6 Pro, we have that Google Tensor chip inside of it, and we also have 12 gigs of RAM on all these models. Now there's no 16 gig of RAM model on the Pixel 6 Pro, but I do think with stock Android it does help it out a lot. And with that new Tensor chipset, this is a massive difference, I think, from a, Qualcomm Snapdragon chipset. Now, if I was comparing these side by side, I probably wouldn't be able to tell too big of a difference between the performance and all that stuff. To be completely honest, the S21 Ultra is a very fast phone. It has so much capability, and it's definitely not slow by any means. But the Pixel 6 Pro, as of right now, when I mess with it right now, there's still a lot of glitches and a lot of issues all over the place. Apps are crashing. There's some glitchiness going on here and there, but there's two reasons for this, I think, in my opinion. It's on Android 12, which is, the newest software, so there's going to be issues. Same thing with iOS 15 and Windows 11, all those other softwares, macOS Monterey. But with the Google Tensor chipset, this is a new chipset for this phone, so you're going to have problems with it regardless. It's going to take many, many months, even years, to perfect this thing. Qualcomm has had a head start. They've been doing it for a long time. This is their first, Tensor chipset for their phones. So I'm not going to make excuses. I think the Galaxy S21 Ultra is a very fast phone, and it could be faster than the Pixel 6 Pro. But the thing is at this level, it really doesn't matter. All phones are going to be very fast. I feel like the Pixel 6 Pro is a more smoother phone, and it'll probably give you a more stable experience down the road. With the S21 Ultra, the one main issue with it is the software updates, and if you have a problem with your phone, Samsung does a good job of pushing out updates every once in a while, but for full OS updates, it can take some time. With Android, with the Pixel 6 Pro, once the update comes out, you can install a beta on it, you can just run that software forever, and it'll probably be more stable than not. So when it comes down to the performance, I'll probably tell you the Pixel 6 Pro, I don't think it's faster than the S21 Ultra, I don't think the S21 Ultra is faster than, the Pixel 6 Pro. I do feel like the 6 Pro is a more stable device. I feel like the Pixel 6 Pro is a more smooth device at the end of the day. So that's pretty much how I've kind of sum up the performance aspect between both of them. Now the battery life between them. I mean, they both have pretty much 5,000 mAh batteries between them. Both have wireless charging and reverse wireless charging, which is beautiful. And again, I don't think there's one phone that just completely dominates the other one, but I will tell you, possibly the Pixel 6 Pro is a better battery life here. You're rocking stock Android, you don't have a bloated software like One UI, and overall, I mean, I've had a really good experience with Pixel devices with battery life, and hopefully with Android 12 and the Google Tensor chip, this could mean that we could be getting very good battery life on this phone. I still have to test it thoroughly and all that stuff, but I guess we'll see what happens when I do a full battery comparison. Now, to kind of sum up this video and to answer the question, should you buy a Pixel 6 Pro or should you buy an S21 Ultra? And this is what I'll tell you. I think if you have an S21 Ultra, I would probably recommend keeping it. I don't think it's worth the money to go from an S21 Ultra to a Google Pixel 6 Pro. There's really no reason to do that. But I will tell you, if I had to choose one of these phones, I would 100% choose a Pixel 6 Pro. It's a little bit cheaper in the new market, even though the S21 Ultra is cheaper in the used market. But on top of that, the Pixel 6 Pro software is just my cup of tea. I don't even really care about the performance. I don't even care that much about the camera quality and all that stuff. I just really care about having stock Android, and I care about having, long supported software on an Android phone. And with this device, I can pretty much get that. The only advantage I can think with the S21 Ultra right now is the build quality. I mean, that's a crazy good build quality. The display on the S21 Ultra, I think, is better on that phone. Performance is still really good on the S21 Ultra, and you have a lot of capability on that phone. Like, it's not a bad phone by any means, but I think the one for me is the Pixel 6 Pro. But if camera quality is a big deal to you, the S21 Ultra is the one for you. If you love a beautiful display, then the S21 Ultra is for you. But I think between the two, I would probably end up picking up a Pixel 6 Pro over an S21 Ultra. But that pretty much covers it up. If you guys have any other questions or anything like that, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.